And now to our review of the sectors in the outgone year 2021. And so tonight our focus is on energy, the energy subsector, where it's been described as a mixed bag of wins and challenges ahead. From the Petroleum Industry Act to the expected removal of the petrol subsidy, there are issues that took center stage in the sector in 2021 and may in fact do so into 2022. Our energy correspondent, Olu Phillips, joins me on the news at 10. Hi, Olu.
Hi, Buki. Good to see you. Good to
see you.
On this side of the divide.
Yes,
The
indeed.
first time, though, I think.
Yeah.
Good. Well, yes, like you had rightly stated, it was a mixed bag. There were momentous times, but that's mixed, and we hope that the highs would take over in 2022. Let's just watch the report.
All right.
Energy provision or electricity supply has for a long time remained a thorny issue, a continuous talking point and one that has sharply divided consumers against providers. The huge sums of money budgeted and supposedly spent in dollars versus its inability to deliver or otherwise is to simply say consumers, Nigerians, want more energy supplied to them, while operators want the right pricing and payment for the product being delivered and demanded. Call it cost-reflective tariff or the argument by consumers to have more before they can pay more. In May of 2021, the Federal Executive Council approved 6.2 billion naira for execution of various power projects across the country. Two big interventions in the period under review is the federal government's decision to supply 6 million meters free of charge to unmetered customers over an 18 to 24 months period. Of that number, only 1 million has been activated, and that's to be shared across the distribution companies in Nigeria. In 2019, President Buhari signed an agreement with Siemens German worth 2 billion euros in the first instance. The Siemens deal, a three-phased plan and proposal, will deal essentially with improving transmission and distribution infrastructure across the country, an endeavor which will see Nigeria with a capacity of 25,000 megawatts of electricity by 2025. Nigeria has more than 13,000 megawatts of installed electricity generation capacity, but only 7,500 megawatts of that is available, and an average of 4,000 megawatts is dispatched to the grid every day. Across the room is the oil and gas sector, Nigeria's highest revenue earner. The most profound being the facilitation of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021.
My expectation is for a speedy transition by taking all necessary steps required to transfer assets, human and material, and without wasting time, capitalize the company as required by the Petroleum Industry Act.
The rehabilitation of the refineries is the corporation's readiness for a deregulated environment. Port Harcourt Refinery, Warri, and Kaduna are currently undergoing rehabilitation and is expected to come on stream in phases between 2022 and 2023.
Refineries are very much like aircraft. You can always fix them. So being aware that you have an asset in your hand that you own, that you can fix, selling will never be your first option.
For over 43 years, NNPC didn't publish any record of accounts, let alone making profit. Last year, it did for the first time, and now publishes a monthly statement of accounts. Perhaps this is that year when Nigerians will pay more for petrol.
Yes, Buki, you've seen that, and if we start by that last line, what that simply meant is that when the Minister for Finance and National Planning met some folks from World Bank and IMF, she simply said sometime in September or October thereabout that subsidies will go this year. Petrol subsidies actually will go this year. We've been dilly-dallying on that, and what that simply also means is that consumers must come to the point where they decide. For me, it's a situation of the quinine and malaria. You want to take care of your malaria, you must take quinine. And it's a bitter pill. Petrol in Nigeria is the cheapest in the entire West Africa. Sells as 162. The closest is about 453 In the Niger Republic, it's over 500. In Ghana, it's over 600 naira per litre, including taxes.
You know, but Olu, Nigerians would also say that you look at the other indices in other countries, you know, as against what obtains in Nigeria.
Okay, so this is it. I mean, you can't divorce deregulation, for instance, from subsidy. So what the NMPC, for instance, is doing by trying to revamp the refineries means that we can now refine locally, and the kind of monies we spend importing over 95% of the products that we need, we wouldn't need to do that again. So when this 445 comes on, Dangote Refinery 650 comes on, and the stake that NMPC has taken, the federal government has taken in Dangote, will galvanize the production locally and eventually turn Nigeria to a net exporter of finished petroleum products. So that mops up that fund, and the government can use that. Because if you look at, say 40 million Nigerians will get 5,000 naira grants. That's over 2.8 trillion naira. Subsidy is about 1 trillion. So what are you really trying to do? I don't know what strategy the federal government wants to adopt. Subsidy has become a political issue. It's an election year. It should go by first 2-3 quarters of the year. How they're going to balance that out, we don't know. We don't know that strategy, but it'll be nice to see that strategy.
Well, we hope that in the future the benefits will outweigh the odds.
Yeah, actually.
So thank you very, very much, Olu, for this review. It's certainly something to look forward to, the way that you've explained it to us. Our energy correspondent, Olu Phillips. Still ahead on the news at 10, we'll take a deeper look at the energy subsector and some of the implications thrown up by the report by our energy correspondent, Olu Phillips. And we have joining us Mr. Olabode Showumi, the Managing Director of Captree Energy Limited. You're welcome to the news at 10.
Thank you.
Very glad to have you.
Thank you, Buki. Nice to see you.
So let's start with something that transpired on the international scene in the outgone year 2021, the climate change and the future of the petroleum industry. How can we say that COP 2021 will affect the energy subsector positively, globally?
I think, first of all, there's a political aspect to COP, and of course, there's the science of it, which is climate change, the earth coming to an end, and all the talk. COP meetings attracts a lot of media attention, primarily because of drama. And this last COP did not fall any short. But ahead or irrespective of whatever was coming in today, it is important that we have what is our own grown internal strategy rather than a Me Too strategy based on what everybody else is saying. The fact remains is that renewable energy, which is the future, may not be so immediate in terms of the future. So what is incumbent upon us as a nation is to be able to look at what are realistic timeframes for us to get into it, rather than jumping into it simply because everybody else is jumping into it. As of today, there are over 10,000 products that are directly dependent on petroleum, from pharmaceuticals to the hair that women wear, to cosmetics, to the tie on the road, to inks in pens, to roofing sheets. I mean, you can name it. Until there is a substitute that is competitive, financially competitive, those things are always going to be. So rather than going into all the political issues, let's look at the science, let's look at the economics, and come up with our own grown solutions to it.
Let's look at the PIA now. It has brought about some sort of regulation for the industry. First time to have a real regulator in almost 5 decades. What should we be expecting?
I think primarily we should be expecting the role any regulator should do. One of the things that it's going to do is to ensure standards, quality in terms of operations, in terms of what is going to happen there. Up until now, you didn't really have a big brother, so to speak, with respect to issues. So we are going to be expecting standards. We're going to be expecting ease with which disputes will be resolved. But more importantly, we are expecting a cleaner, stronger framework for investment to come into the industry. I think it's a good news anyway we choose to look at it.
To yet another arm of this subsector, the power sector, currently reviewing the EPSR Act. Will this guarantee electricity?
I think laws are precisely that. They're just laws, frameworks for which certain things should happen. They don't necessarily turn into actions by people. The framework that is going to be presented with the new EPSR Act as being amended by the National Assembly is still going to be dependent on the operators. I mean, I'm talking about, when I talk operators, I'm also talking stakeholders. So from the man on the street who actually uses electricity, we have very intelligent people who bypass meters and use the electricity, and we call them smart. But in reality, nobody is smart, because if they don't pay for it, the system pays for it somehow. And then you come to the discos who have their own issues, the gencos who have their own issues, the transmission backbone. So the laws are not going to make these people more caring and more sensitive. The laws are only going to provide guidelines for them to do their work. It is the corporate culture and the culture with us as a people that will ultimately determine how soon we get quality electricity.
All right, I'd like to pursue the point even more, but then we must leave it here. We want to thank you very much, Mr. Showumi, for your time and thoughts on the news at 10 on Channels Television, particularly at this festive period. We appreciate it.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you very much.
The pleasure is all mine.